All right, I'm going to just switch a couple things over here on the audio. So hopefully that broadcast, all right, you can hear that really good. If not, we'll put it up for a rebroadcast because and initially I did not have the stereo outputs changed here. This is a weird broadcast software that we use, and you got to switch everything manually over to it, and it's a bit of a pain. If I could find a better broadcast software, I probably would use it. But this is live, and anything can happen when you play live. This guy probably knows it better than anybody else. What can go right and what can go wrong and what can go indifferent usually happens when you go live. We have the bassist for that power trio. They're a blues rock power trio from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. They are called the Rose City Rockers, and we have Michael Muscat in the house tonight. Hey, Michael, how are you?
How's it going?
Good to have you here, brother.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. I'm gonna do a quick segue here today because you and I were talking offline before the show tonight. We were talking about people that we know in the area and with 3 degrees of separation. Mark,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no Mark Trishan for a long time.
yeah, you guys have been friends for a while. Mark is one of the lead guitar players in the band Helix.
Yep,
And of course, Mark has a bunch of solo stuff that he's done. He plays all over the Windsor area, so I'm sure you guys know each other, have rubbed elbows with each other, all
great
that.
artist, and nice guy. I mean, we just went to a hockey game a couple months ago together. So yeah, it's a
That's
really cool guy.
cool. I
Yeah,
was I was jealous when we were having all that shitty weather here in St. Thomas. He and his wife are in their pool.
yeah.
I mean,
He likes to post that. It's a beautiful thing. I love watching and seeing him happy out there with his wife, and he enjoys his time off when he's off. So
yeah, no, no. Unlike Mark, you have not always been a full time musician.
correct.
You worked in the airline industry for a while.
That's right.
You grew up in Amherstburg. You said
That's right. Yeah, graduated from high school there, so I was there till about 18,
right, and
and
then
then
you
I
lived in
moved to Windsor. Yeah,
yeah, and then you moved back to Windsor. You were in Toronto for a while, then moved back to Windsor, and you. So tell me a little bit about how you met up with Jimmy Graham, because the cool thing about this is that Jimmy, do you know Don Coulter?
the name sounds familiar.
So Donnie Coulter is a friend of Jimmy's,
Hmm.
right? And so Jimmy reached out to Donnie back when he was doing some cover stuff,
Right.
and we were talking about possibly publishing the cover stuff, and that was a whole different life for Jimmy. And then he meets you guys, and you guys start up the Rose City Rockers, and like
Right.
you guys are like a year in, and you're already working on your first album.
Yeah. Yeah. So my story comes a little bit later, actually, when in this whole timeline. Jimmy and Joey known each other for years. They used to play in the fashion together back in the 80s, and it was a local band. They played all the big festivals and everything. They were a great band at that time. And after they disbanded, they lost touch with each other for about, I think he said, around 15 years or so. So they kind of met up again just recently, and they said, "Hey, what are you doing? And do you want to start jamming together again?" So they did, and they were looking for a bass player, and they had some troubles finding the right fit. And lots of talented guys out here. Just scheduling and just things didn't really work out. So me and Jim were Facebook friends. So just through others, through all the mutual friends, and I was looking for a new amp and for guitar, and he had the phase amps, which is what he uses. And I wanted to try it, so I just kind of messaged him privately and said, "Hey, would you mind if I come by?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'll fire it up. Come on over." So went there and played it. It was fun, and we just kind of hit it off with each other. Like, hey, oh, this guy, that guy. We used to play in this band, and oh, I remember the '80s, and so it was all great. And I was getting ready to leave, and I said, "Hey, where are you playing? I'd love to come and watch you play." And he goes, "Actually, we're not. We're looking for a bass player right now." And I went, "Well, I play bass."
and
And he
you
said,
wait,
"Really?"
Now you weren't always a bass player though,
No, no. I've been playing guitar for about 42 years, and I only picked up the bass about 7 years ago.
right?
So,
Well,
and
you wouldn't know it. I mean, you've really hit your stride with these guys,
yeah, I mean, it was just the minute we got together in the room and we start playing. I think we did a Robin Trower song. I believe it was Day of the Eagle. And as soon as we start playing it, it just felt right. And I knew I was in the right place and doing the right thing. It was magical. And it's been amazing ever since. It's just been just this driving train. And we don't even we can't put a finger on it about why it's working so well, but we don't want to you know
right?
we just want to keep it going, and it's not even just the talents working together. We actually really love hanging out together. Like,
Right,
we're starting to grow this real special brotherly bond, and
right.
it's been magical. And yeah, I'm not you get an opportunity like that at our age, to be able to do it again. And then it's just a weird paradigm, to be living in, a wonderful one too at the same time. Here I am, 56, single, and playing in a rock and roll band. I mean,
And what's really cool is that Jimmy is he's a mover and a shaker. He's got his shit together musically in terms
oh
of
yeah,
what he wants to do and where he wants to go with this thing. When he came to me, um, you know I don't know if he went back to Don or Donnie came. Donnie said to me, "You need to talk to Jimmy because he's got this thing going on, this 3-piece thing, and it's going to be great." And he said, you should really, see if you can help him on the label.
yeah,
And so when Jimmy and I started talking, it was the same thing. We hit it off really well. We seemed to be on the same page with a lot of stuff. He has a different mindset when it comes to radio than I do.
right,
But that's fine
hmm,
because it's those different mindsets that make everything work really well,
yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Um, you
absolutely,
you can't be all things to all people, and one of the things that I think that I do well is properly process people's music, properly publish it, get it all in the right places in front of people.
right,
But you know, I have always seen the musicians, the artists that are making the music, as being those people that are going to be the salesman of the product,
right,
right? I mean, it's your product. You made it. It's
hmm,
yours. If you can't stand behind it, who else is going to stand with it?
that's right. Nobody's gonna save you.
No.
You got to be able to go out there and then sell it, and in more ways than one. Like, when we get on stage, we don't want to just be uh, you know uh, three old retired guys that are just having a good time on stage. We actually put a show together, and we feed off each other on stage. We give the audience that energy. Like, I put out, and we all do, we put out like 120% energy just to get 90 back. And the more we push and the more we get that response, the more we keep feeding off each other with the crowd and with,
Right.
with ourselves. And it's so important. It's all about that relationship with the
So,
audience.
I wanted to give a couple of shout outs tonight. Lisa Lansu is
At least,
watching us, and Jimmy Graham is watching us from afar.
Jimmy.
I think he's probably he's at his evening job, right?
Yes, he is.
And then Cindy Weishman, she's watching us all the way from Newfoundland.
Oh, wow.
So we got people on the West Coast, people on the East Coast watching the show tonight, which is really, really cool. We got the chat room open if you got some questions for Michael. Michael Muscat is the bassist for the power blues rock trio called Rose City Rockers from Windsor, Ontario. And they've got that banger of a tune that you heard, "Going Down to Memphis." That is their first track on of many coming out. And "She Feels Good in My Hands" is the second one that just came out recently.
Yep.
We just launched that, and it's doing well as well. Going Down to Memphis, I mean, really exploded on radio.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's had really really good response to that, and lots of requests for plays and all that stuff, so much so that I had to rush the encoding of the tracks so that we could get it out to everybody.
Yeah, I know we were like, Jimmy would tell me, like, he's communicating with you and he's like, wow, man, I'm just probably driving Ken crazy, or, like trying to get this done, but it needed to be done. The process, there's a process, and we know we're learning about that. So, we go through it, and well,
It's an ever evolving, every learning process. I mean, I've been doing this for like 10 years, and I'm still learning,
absolutely.
and you know the artists that I work with, they they don't often get deeply involved in the stuff that I'm doing in terms of the publishing, and they don't necessarily always understand the nuances involved with it. There's a lot of nuances that are involved with that. And for example, we had an artist who we recently did a waterfall release of their album. Their vinyl's coming out, and they've got a release party coming up on June the 8th. And it was like, we're at the 11th hour trying to figure out how to do this release, right? And
Right.
then, everybody always does something that challenges you to rethink what you're doing. So I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but if you were to put up your left hand, put your left finger and point it straight up, and move it over a little bit to your left. So up above Michael, a little more towards you now, right there, right up above Michael, that you'll see our new
Oh, okay.
branding. Brent Durner is responsible for that. That's a new watermark, and it's more transparent. So I'll flip screens here so people can see how transparent it is. So now it's up
Wow, look at
behind me.
that.
Yeah, so it's a very transparent thing now. So that now is the new vector that we're sending out to the artist, and we're asking the artist now to put it on the artwork themselves.
All right.
And part of the reason is they can place it where they want to have the vector,
Right.
right? I was always in the position of getting the artwork from the artist and then having to place it. And then, somebody would inevitably say, I wish you didn't put it there. I wish you put it
Mhm.
here instead. So this is a really cool thing that we can do now, is that we can send the vector. It's a PNG file, so you can see through it, most of it anyway,
Right.
and you can drop it and drag it and put it wherever you want on your photograph. Um, and a lot of times, what people do too is they send you the wrong artwork. So they'll send you the wrong file extension. So they'll send you a PNG file instead of a JPEG.
JPEG. Yeah.
And JPEG, and of course, everything is based on. And this is the weird part. We thought when we went to digital, we would lose a lot of the things that existed in the old world of music,
Right.
but everything is still square format. Where's my other hand? There it
There
is.
it is.
Square format. So you're looking at putting a square together, because it imitates the vinyl record jacket.
Right.
And so everything has to be 3000 by 3000 pixels. They don't tend to like anything more high resolution, and they don't like something to a much lower resolution. So it's always one of those delicate balances trying to figure that out. Um, So Michelle Lee Trafford, she's watching from Windsor, Ontario. Hi,
Hi,
Mike.
Michelle.
Proud of this band. Love their songs. Looking forward to seeing you June the 1st. Honor to have you all in my life. Keep on rocking.
Yeah, she's great. She's come out. Her and her husband come out quite a few times.
So they must be part of the rocker army.
They are. They're actually I think they're one of the first. So yeah,
So whose idea was it to start the rocker army for you guys?
Jim.
he
Jimmy's.
must be he must be an old Kiss fan.
He is. I would imagine he is. I am. I'm a huge Kiss
Right.
fan.
Right.
The reason why I picked up a guitar was for Ace Frehley. I mean, between him and Jimmy Page, because I was a huge Led Zeppelin fan.
Right.
But but back in the day, I used to dress up like Ace for Halloween. I mean, like
Right.
So yeah,
I
he
had
came
three
up with it.
I had three buddies. We used to dress up as Kiss every Halloween too.
Yeah, I think
It
we
was
all did.
it was just a thing to do, man. And I think they, Kiss definitely, Led Zeppelin, Hendrix, all those artists were inspirations for me growing up.
Yeah, me too.
And then, as I started to acquire more of a taste for music, Pink Floyd and Rush and so many other bands that
Absolutely.
I aspired to. But I think I saw Kiss for the very first time in 1974 when they were virtually unknown here in Canada.
Wow.
I saw them at one of the few shows they played here in Ontario at the old London Arena, downtown London. And I remember quite a bit of the show, but I remember being in front of the stage at the end of the night. $4.50 to get into the show, folks.
Wow.
And it was all general admission. At the end of the night, my buddy Jim and I had our feet up against the base of the stage, looking up at Gene Simmons, and he's spitting blood on us.
No, God. That's amazing, though. I mean, to see them in at that time must have been so incredible. Like,
Well, to see them at that time and then see them so many years later,
right.
and see them, develop as a band over the years. I remember back in the day going to see a band like them. Everybody go, "Oh, they're just a flash in the pan. They're not going to last. They're like the
Oh,
New York Dolls. They're, the makeup and all that shit, right?"
yeah.
And
Look at
guess what? Guess what? Right?
they stood the test of time. I think more than most bands.
Yeah.
Like
And you guys, I mean, you guys have all played around.
sure.
Jimmy's played in a lot of bands over the years. You
Hmm.
played in a lot of bands over the years. You
Yeah.
got away from it for a while,
Right. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
got back into it. So who would be your number one bass player? Who's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah. I actually do. I've got to say, there's so many guys. I kind of hold two at high regard, and it's Rudy Zarzo and Billy Sheehan. Um, and it's not even just about their technical prowess. It's about their presence, how they play, what they've brought to the table. Being hired guns, as I've always had an interest in those hired gun, musicians, both as guitarists and bass players, and I find it fascinating that they can just go from one band, don't even know what they're going to be doing. They go from one project to another, and they're able to accomplish so much and produce so much and just fit in no matter where they go. And like with Billy, with I saw Billy at in 23 in Nashville, at the with the Winery Dogs at the Nashville Bowl, I think that's called.
Right,
And I got a chance to meet them, all three of them, and great guys. And Billy was just, it was just so fascinating to see him play live, and just so talented. And yeah, so I would say kind of like those two guys are my highest influences.
yeah. There's a guy I think I'd like to have on the show. I mean, Rudy's been on the show before, and like I said, if you go to our YouTube channel, you want to watch our interview with Rudy Sarzo. It's like a little over an hour long. I think we went one or two periods of overtime on that one. I'm going to flip you and I back around because this
Sure.
way actually look like I'm looking at you as opposed to
Right.
looking away from you. It's just the camera angle. Um, so yeah, I mean, so here you guys put this trio together. You jump in with two other guys that you didn't know who've known each other for a long period of time,
Right.
and the three of you gel.
Yeah, it was kind of, it was a little scary at first because I thought, well, these guys known each other for so long.
Right,
But the positive side, and where I do my best, is I like trying to catch up with everybody, as opposed to being ahead and trying to wait for someone to catch up to what I'm doing. It
right,
gives me a chance to really sit back, listen to these guys, and know where they're at, and I know where I got to be, and musically, and where I'm going to fit in. And it's humbling, but it's fun. I just enjoy it. And you know there was a learning curve there, of course, right? Learning how to sit in the pocket,
right.
learning, trying to have that relationship with Joe. And I spent lots of time, I still do, I'm always watching his right foot or his left
It's
foot, and
extremely
he's just
important. It's really extremely important, especially in a three piece, because you guys are the rhythm section, man. You guys
right.
are you guys are the glue that's holding it together.
Right.
And I always say that to our bass player and our drummer, the same thing, that, we're really sort of the icing on the cake. If you guys fall apart, we're done.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right. And we need to build that relationship. So, Joe and I our chemistry is fantastic. He's such a solid drummer. And not only is he solid, he knows when, like, he's got such control of the tempo. When we're playing, he dictates everything. He doesn't even realize it. I think he's just one of
right,
those humble guys. But sometimes I'm so comfortable. I don't have to look back. I don't have to be any concern at all. I know where his tempo is going to be, and I just fall right back and just lift and make Jimmy's melody sound better.
right,
And that's my job. And I love being in that sonic space. It's where I want to live forever. In eternity. I just don't want to be anywhere else. It's just so challenging and technical, and you really got to pay attention. And when it gets so comfortable, you get to the point where now I can shift my focus and become the second showman on stage,
right. So
because it's
when
just
you
the two
when
of
you're
us.
so when you're playing with the drummer is
Joe Riem.
so Joe and Jimmy,
Hmm.
um, in terms of playing with those guys, right? When you guys you like put this thing together and you sort of gel together and put this band together, is there anything that anybody prescribes for anybody else, or do you guys all have your own artistic freedom within the project?
Yeah, absolutely. We have our artistic freedom. Jimmy, he's the guy that's going to bring the riffs in, right? When we're talking about writing originals, right? Like, so he'll come in and say, "Hey, this is an idea. This is what I've got," and he just lays it out, and then Joey will just start fleshing it out by putting a rhythm in, and I just follow Joe's lead. I see where he's going, and then I know where to sit, and then we start working on the melody of the song. Like with going down to Memphis. Jimmy always says this when he describes it as well. So Jim came in with the riff of that song, and we were doing it for the purpose of going into a contest, for a blues contest,
Right,
because the winner of that contest would be going to Memphis and competing at a national level.
so you guys were competing in that, what is it called?
The
The
blues
road to Memphis, isn't it?
wrote Memphis, yeah.
Yeah,
So we said, well, he came to this riff and he goes, how fitting. We'll just call the song Going Down to Memphis. And he had lyrics already. So we're like, okay. And, we got the riff and got the verses in and nice and tight. And then we had to find a way to resolve it and get into a chorus. So I had to kind of put in my guitar little brain and said, well, here's a riff I'm hearing if I was writing it. And I
right,
just transposed it into bass. And then I came up with the chorus. So, and then as soon as Joe hears everything and everything's getting put together, then he's the one that created that beautiful snaring snap tempo where that we had that
right,
constant clap and beat. And then the rest of it's mantra. Like we use the words going down to Memphis quite a few times in the song,
right.
not just in the
Yeah,
verse and the chorus. And it was a mantra to everybody. It was an paying homage to going down to Memphis and all the artists before us, the Three Kings, and it
right,
just all worked really, really well together. So right off the hop, we started having that writing style together,
right.
and then we just kind of follow the same formula all the way through.
Well, here's
You know?
that whole 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon all over again. So George Wolfe, who is a country writer who's on our record label,
Right.
he went down to Memphis because they won the competition on the East Coast.
Oh, right on.
He was in a blues project out on the East Coast, and they got to go down and compete down there. And he said the caliber of the artists that were competing down in Memphis
Right.
was, he said it was off the hook.
I would imagine.
You
I
know,
would
he said
imagine.
he said we worked. He said we worked our butts off to get down to Memphis, but he said when we were down there, he said, man, he said it gave me a whole different appreciation for other artists and the hard work that they put in. You can see the hard work they put into, you know, preparing themselves for these competitions.
It's the talent that you go, like when I was in Nashville and I was on Broadway going from club to club to club, and it didn't matter which club you went into. The talent is off the hook. You know, it didn't matter what type of artist, what genre of music, nothing. They were all very multi-talented musicians.
What I find really weird about when you go down to Nashville is that in all the clubs down there, they frown on people playing originals at those clubs.
That's the only thing, right? You
Yeah,
hear
I mean,
covers like crazy, but
you hear covers like crazy, but there's none of the clubs down there, and it's mostly because they cater to tourists who want to
true.
hear like signature cover tunes, right?
Right. Well, Nashville's becoming kind of like the Vegas, for
Oh,
entertainment. I mean, it's
it, it
unreal.
it's really be like everybody that was producing music and doing music out in California is now doing the very same thing in Nashville.
Absolutely.
My daughter is flying out this Sunday to go down to Nashville to meet up with some friends down there. And two of the guys that she's going to be hanging out with, they are in a band down in Nashville, but they
Nice.
don't play in Nashville because they play originals,
Right.
right? So they're always out touring with other bands. They've had the opportunity to tour with Hailstorm and other bands.
Oh, nice.
So the cool thing about those guys, but they have other side gigs as well. They play in like the guitar player. Sorry, one of the guitar players plays in a. They play in a Def Leppard tribute,
Okay.
and the other one plays in a Van Halen tribute.
Oh, wow.
And both of those tributes have the same lead singer.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because this guy that's the lead singer for both of those he does he's got the long blonde hair and he's got the Joe Elliott look and he's also got the David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth.
So they do like the sort of all the Roth era music.
Cool. Well, that's
So
a great era. I just got back from Vegas and I saw Sammy Hagar, and it was great when his
oh,
residency.
that would have been they're doing a residency down there right now,
Yeah, they just finished up. I'm not sure if they're going back again, but they're on a break for sure. But to get a
right?
chance to see Michael Anthony and Joe Satriani and Kenny Aronoff, I mean, these guys are just legends.
Yeah, I my son and I were hoping to go down to Vegas and see the Scorpions.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because they're in the what do you call it? They're in the Sphere, I
Yeah,
believe.
we saw them last summer here in Toronto.
Cool.
It used to be I don't know what it's called now. It used to be Molson Stage, whatever it is
Right.
there in Toronto there at Ontario Place, and we saw them last summer. And man, what a killer show!
Oh, they're still great, man. They
Yeah,
still put on a great show.
after all these years, they put on a great show, and they
Right.
really bring it. I mean, they give it 100% out there.
Yeah. Well, we should all be so lucky to get to that kind of
Well,
level.
I mean, you know what? I listened to the two tunes that you guys have put out already. You can hear the energy in both of those tunes. And where would people hear you guys live when you're playing down in Windsor area?
Oh gosh, we play in quite a few clubs here. So we just did the Lion's Head just on last Saturday. This weekend we're going to be at the Sportsman's Club on Dougal. It's an afternoon type of event, and it's great because we've got the middle set, and it's only 1 hour, but we're going to be doing all originals. We're not doing any covers, so we're going to get to do our very first full show of all our originals. Tomorrow we're
Right.
rehearsing the show and putting it together. So we're looking forward to that. Then we play locally around. So there's like, when playing Tecumseh at the Tecumseh Bourbon, the Bell River Bourbon, and then a few other clubs as well that we play around town. So
You know what I find is a real shame that massive stage, outdoor stage they have
I
down by the
know,
river.
I know.
What is with that? Mark posted something about that a couple of weeks ago on Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
what is with that? Why isn't the city putting on more events there?
I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with funding or they're concerned that they have to upgrade to make that stage viable for what we're going to be doing, like what you could do now. I don't really know the reasoning behind it. I just know that it's a shame, because the energy is still here in the city. We can feel it, and there's a lot of talent here. And we can put some, with all of us together, we can put some really cool shows. And we have some local legends as well that can do something. Guys like Mark and Tease, and there's so many bands that are out of here. So
Yeah, he has a band called he's in a band called the Hitmen, right?
yeah, yeah, they
Yeah.
just got back together again or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah, they hadn't been together for a long time, and of course, Mark plays most of the live shows with Helix.
that's right.
They've actually got two shows coming up, June 27th and 28th. They're playing in London at Cowboys, and they're playing again at can't remember the name of the place in Kitchener. They got two
Yeah,
shows
that's
coming
cool.
up. I'm going to be posting that later on my profile. So if anybody's interested in seeing a Helix show, it could be one of their last live shows you're going to see here in Canada. It's 50 years. These guys have been at it for 50 years,
Yeah,
and
a long time.
Brian's wife Linda is always looking for some downtime and some R&R, and of course they spend 6 months of the year down in Florida now.
All right.
So I don't know how many more shows he's going to keep doing. But although I talked to him today, and I said, "Man, your voice sounds really strong." He says, "Yeah, I've been singing more. I've been practicing more." And he said, "I should be singing more." Right? So he's like, I think I need to do more shows. Michelle has got a point here. She says, "We seen them at Cherry Rock Lounge, Villains in Windsor, live concert at the park to help feeding
Oh
Windsor
yes,
ethics,
we
and
did
seeing
that
them at
too.
the Sportsman Club in Meteor." So
Yeah,
thanks for that, Michelle.
yeah, the meteor's coming up actually. That hasn't happened yet. So she's coming to see us on Sunday at the Sportsman's Club,
So is
and then
Michelle a friend of yours, or
well, they become friends. They become like little, like I said, Rose City Rocker family. Her and her husband, they live downtown. So when we're doing downtown shows, they make their way to come and see
part
us.
of the Rose City Rockers
That's it.
Army?
That's it. The Rocker Army.
The Rocker Army,
It's great.
and
We've
it and
got
it's and it's growing.
it is. It is. I haven't even checked lately how many we've got.
I'm going to go here and take a quick look at it. You got 192 members and growing,
Yeah.
and I see a bunch of invites on there from people that I invited to join,
Okay.
which is really kind of cool. Um, there's some really, really, great connections you guys can make with other artists, and I've always told artists on the label to think about making these connections,
Yes.
and maybe cross pollinating to do shows together. So
Absolutely.
Brother Leeds is doing, they've got a release party on June the 8th coming up at the East Side Bar and Grill in London.
Right on.
And, they're always looking for places to play live, but they can also command a decent audience in London. So,
Yeah,
who knows?
that'd be a great thing to do. You like you said, cross pollinate with them. Like so we can go open for them and in their area, and then we can invite them here. And do the same thing. I know Jimmy's talked about that. Hey Ted.
Because
Um,
you're rocking like a star, brother.
yeah, yeah, good guy.
The cool thing about this cross pollination thing is exactly that, right? I mean, you guys bring a different brand of rock and roll,
Hmm.
right? It's not straight up and down blues. I mean, you listen to Going Down to Memphis, you hear, oh, when you first hear it, you're going, oh, 12 bar blues, 12 bar blues. And then all of a sudden there's that Going Down to Memphis. It goes off in a completely different direction
Right,
than the song. So, there's that unpredictability with the song, yet there's something familiar about it as
right.
well.
Right.
So,
So that's the joy of the relationship that we have is that we know we can take these little departures in the song when we're working on it, and they still work together, but there's never like a boring or an empty spot. We always
right,
try to get it so it's emotionally moving you,
right,
and like in that part, like you just mentioned, when I was hearing it in my head, that's how I felt the song was going emotionally,
right,
because Jim had that great verse and that great riff in that song, and it was like we got to take it somewhere where it's going to open and really get our point across in the song. and it just works. It just works, and it's the same thing with our other songs. I mean, we've got well, we play 3 sets a night when we play, and we have 2 songs in every set that's original.
Have you now somebody here says that you've done have you played any Kim Mitchell tunes?
Yeah, yeah, we do Lager and Ale.
So Dean Bo, I guess, has seen you guys or heard you guys play this. Mike, he said,
Oh,
Michael,
hey, Deanbo.
do you know Dean Bo?
No, I don't think I don't. It
So
sounds like
Dean Bo's
he's
all the way out in the Halifax, Nova Scotia area.
okay.
And he says that you did a Kim Mitchell song, Lager and Ale, one of his favorites. He saw Kim Mitchell play 7 times in his life so far. Your band sounds amazing.
Wow, thank you so much, Deanbo.
I think you gained a new fan.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. We always welcome as many people.
Join the rocker army.
That's right. I know somebody had a friend of ours actually. I think she posted us doing Lager Nail on YouTube. Yeah, there she is, Christine Bailey. Hey, Christine.
Oh, there
Uh,
she is right there.
yeah, so she's the one that shared it on YouTube. So it's probably getting some traction there.
Oh, okay. So that there it is. So maybe you guys need to do a remake of Lager and Ale.
There's so many songs that we do in our 70s tribute that we would love to do. We actually
But
we do one right now. We do Born on a Bad Sign.
well, like I said to Jimmy, I said we can do some licensing for cover tunes. So
That'd
you
be
know,
great.
all we need to do is secure the mechanical licensing because you guys will own the masters for the recording. So
Right,
we only need to pay the rights owner on the mechanical rights, and that's pretty easy to deal with. So
right.
not an issue. Dean Bo says I subscribed to your YouTube page already,
Well, thank you, Dean. I
and so
appreciate it. We
so
appreciate it.
you guys can go to the Rose City Rockers. You can also go to Indie Tunes Records, and you can subscribe to both of those channels on YouTube. Check it out. Check everything out we got there. We haven't purposely put up any of the Rose City Rockers videos on our YouTube channel yet, and the reason for that being, um, we did make certain shifts along the way, and we've tried different things to try and get more traction on artists' music and their videos, but you guys got a lot of traction on your video at the hop before Jimmy and I talked.
Right,
And he said, "Well, we can pull it down." I said, "No, no, 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 don't pull that down." I said, "You're drawing attention to yourselves is what we want. We want attention to the artists."
right,
And it's irrelevant that it's not necessarily on the label YouTube. We will end up putting it up on our channel just to share it with our subscribers and people that are out there.
right.
But yeah, Lager and Ale, great tune by Kim Mitchell.
So
Uh,
Christine just said she just sent the link there. You can see
I
it.
see it there. So if you want the link, you can grab it there in the chat. Christine's put it up there. Thanks, Christine, for doing
Thank
that. Much
you.
appreciated. Yeah, what is really great is when now here's another cool thing. Jimmy's creative. I know he's watching the show tonight, and he'll probably watch it on the watch back after his shift. But one cool thing that you guys can do, because you guys have regulars that come out to your shows,
Mhm.
you could get them from different angles to film one of your shows, and we could put a video together.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
It'd be fun to do. And the other thing too is where they shoot videos not only of you guys up there playing, but videos of the audience rocking to the tunes, right?
Sure.
And then make that a really really cool thing. Getting people to contribute that way. It's another great way to put out videos.
Absolutely.
And to get your message out to people in terms of your music and the
For
music,
sure.
the messages behind your music.
Well, fan participation, audience participation. I mean, it's very important. I mean, again, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I mean, we're doing this not just for our egos. We're doing this because we love what we do, and we're not doing it for
Come
the
on,
money.
you're a musician. You like to have your ego stroked.
Uh,
Come on, dude.
when I was younger, maybe a little bit, but all right. Shh.
Shh.
No one knows a secret.
There is a definite high that comes with getting up on stage and being able to play, and being able to get a response from people that accept and like what you're doing.
Well, exactly. And like we expect it when we're playing covers because people are familiar with the songs. But there's been this slow transition, Ken. It's been amazing that when we play our originals, the folks are coming up on the dance floor and they're dancing to our music,
Right.
which is a it's more magical than you could ever imagine. Like, because I'm like, oh my God. Like, I remember the first time that started really happening and we are getting aware of it. Jimmy
Right.
and I just kind of rolled over to each other on stage. We're like, they're actually coming up to dance to our song. Like,
Yeah, this is really
great.
great. This is what you want. This is something that I like to see happen here. So Michelle is posting here. When I see them, I take photos for them. They're my friends and family over 1 year now, and I share their videos with friends in Windsor and Chatham, with our friends too. Our friends on in Chatham love their videos and their songs. So it's really, really, really cool. She says, my adopted dad in Wallaceburg loves their music too. Uh, Having followers like that is invaluable.
Oh, it means so much.
Michelle, people like you are that support bands like the Rose City Rockers. You are the lifeblood of these bands. You're what gives them sort of the energy to get up on stage and do that show every night.
Hey.
They're not doing it just for themselves. They're doing it
Mm-mm.
to, they're trying to get better at their craft. They're trying to get tighter as a band to play the stuff that they're playing, but ultimately they're performing for you.
Absolutely. And we rehearse, we heavily rehearse. So we rehearse twice a week. Not to mention studio time and everything else that Jim and I are putting in. Joe's not in the computer savvy. He's like the Neil Peart, he's the quiet guy. And, it's hard. It's hard. Even when you try to message him, he's like, it takes forever for him to answer
He's the guy
but
that's going to write all the books.
yeah, I mean, he's super intelligent guy, but it's he's very quiet socially, like online and everything. So we respect that, and he lets us kind of take the reins on that. So
So this is really funny. This is the kind of stuff that I like, and you guys are real go getters, and I really appreciate that. I mean, you coming on the show, Michael, and helping me create some content here on the show, but also here representing the band, which I think is really, really a great thing to do. But Jimmy posted here in our chat. This is no. It's funny because I sometimes I get private chats from people, and then there's
right,
stuff that goes on the label chat. So Jimmy posts here to me. This is a Tuesday, 12:01 a.m. So he must have been, after his shift. And he puts proposed song schedule, blah, and he goes down. So I'm going to give you some song titles here: Cowboy Blues.
yep,
So you can look for that sometime in July, but we got to get it out soon because I'm going to be away in July.
yep.
Um, Good Day.
We're just doing the finishing touches on that. Actually, we're going to be done that one soon.
Good Days coming out in August, Fire in Line in September, Ain't No Going Back October, No One's Coming November, Born Under a Bad Sign, the cover
Yeah,
uh,
that's in
in
December.
in December, and
Yeah,
then we're looking at a full album release with physical coming 2026.
yeah,
So this is the kind of stuff that I like because it really gives me a sense to build that rhythm in working with an artist, you
right.
know. And I think the reason Jimmy's doing that, because he's a busy guy too, he recognizes that you guys aren't the only artist on the label, and
No,
I've got to try and schedule things. And this is why I like people to give me sort of, they don't have to give me a nailed down release schedule, but giving me a sense of what we're going to be doing month to month really helps
right,
me.
right, absolutely.
Um, and it's really funny because one of the most well-known artists on the label, as we know, is Helix. And Brian has been one of the most laid-back guys with me about, releasing the music, and we weren't really going aggressive about this. And then, he started seeing the response we're getting on these re-releases of their first two albums. And he's like, oh man, can we do a more aggressive release schedule? And I'm like, yep, 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 we can. So you can expect that in the next few weeks, we're going to be rolling out one Helix track per week
Wow, that's
uh,
aggressive.
until the White Lace and Black Leather album is fully released. Then we're going to do a formal release of the whole album. Then we're back on. So we don't have rights for there's stuff that belongs to Capital EMI.
Right.
So we're skipping some of their what I consider to be not necessarily their most well-known tunes, yes, because they were more commercially processed. But there's a hell of a lot of really good tunes that Helix wrote over the years
Of
that
course.
never got the attention that Rock You and Heavy Metal Love got.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
you
I mean,
know, songs.
they were together for a reason. I mean, it
I
wasn't
mean,
just for two songs.
yeah, these were songs that got a lot of heavy rotation. But he just wrote a really great song with Gord Pryor that we just put out. It's called "Stand Up," and it was written in just a few minutes, but came over a course of a whole bunch of meetings back and forth with these guys, and then all of a sudden, you know, Brian invites Gord down to Florida to do some songwriting with them, and guess what? So John, I think it's Johnny Hyatt. He used to play with Metal Church and a whole bunch of other bands,
Okay.
and he's well known. Stet Howland, another one. And they wrote Stand Up with Gordon and Brian. And it's just really weird, man, because people, no rest ain't no
Yeah,
rest
I
for
know. I
the
just saw that. No rest for the wicked. He's right, man. There is
um,
no rest. He'll call me up sometimes and he's like, okay, we got to go do this. We got to go do this, that. And I'm like,
right.
okay, give me a second here to breathe, you know?
Maybe you guys need to do a Helix remake.
Oh, I got to talk to the boss about that one. I don't know if you want to do a remake of one of those guys' songs, but you never know, right? I
Well,
mean, you never know.
you never know. There might be something there that that you really dig, that you really really like, and I've had a lot of fun remastering those tunes and listening to them, hundreds of times through, figuring out where this goes, where that goes, and putting this tone on it and that tone on it, just to get what I consider to be the right mix in my ear.
Right.
But what I hear is not necessarily what the other guy is going to hear. And we had that back and forth. Jimmy and I collaborated a little bit on your project.
Right. That's cool.
Um, and I said, it sounds like this could use a little bit more oomph, right?
Oh,
So we did. We boosted up the volume envelope on going down to Memphis, because it's in your face rock and roll, man. It's like I do ain't no rest. He says
yeah,
I,
I
I
do it.
he said
Yeah.
I do ain't no
Well,
rest.
he's right. You know, I mean, like we just finished. I think what was it yesterday? What's today? Wednesday. Yesterday we just did our production meeting for the next music video.
Right,
So for Cowboy Blues, which is going to be like we mentioned, it's going to be coming out,
right.
and we got to get ready. Like to start. We're getting locations set up, and we got to get this
So
going.
are you guys doing video concepts for all your songs?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's
Jim and I will sit together and come up with the concept. Jimmy has it in his head, of
right,
course, and then I just kind of come in and put in a couple of 2 cents here and there, and
right,
then we just come up with the concepts because we want to make sure that we have that continuity of the concept going throughout as we talk to the
right,
production company, right? And we want to make sure that we're stripping things the way we want to strip them, and the script stays in place because a
right,
lot of impromptu things can happen. We learned that from the last video. A lot of impromptu things can happen in the middle of filming, and it's all great ideas. They're not necessarily bad, but are they going to really respect the song, and what we're trying to convey, and who
right.
we are as a band too, right?
Are
So
you now? Are you guys working with the same producer all the
yes,
time for these videos?
yes, it's High Multimedia, HI Multimedia. They're great
Okay,
guys. Great
awesome.
guys, yeah, and we stick with them. They're getting used to us now. We're getting a relationship. Like the meeting was smooth. They know where we're coming from, and they're willing to collaborate and make that work. And also, they do come up with ideas and say, "Hey, we can try this," or "We know the perfect location for that." So that's what they're doing this week. They're going to go take all the location shots. They're going to send them to us for our approval, and then we'll say, yeah, let's use that location, and so on and so forth.
Right.
What's he say?
Jose says, "Hey Mike, 2 cents don't go far. Give Jimmy 25 cents."
Yeah,
Uh,
Jimmy's always bartering away. Yeah,
uh, Dean Bow says, "I wonder if you guys have ever considered doing a version of Paper Sun."
wow. We've never talked about it. Good song.
Yeah, he said Def Leppard did a make of that song.
Really. I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with that one, to be honest with you. That's
And
a
he said
server.
he said he really liked their interpretation of the song. Another a cool song to listen to if you like you know, old sort of I don't know what you would call it, more obscure tunes. Pictures of Matchstick Men
Okay.
by Status Quo was done by a bunch of guys from the Windsor, Ontario area. Donnie Coulter being the drummer for that project. The band's called Creatures of Condition. They're on the label. They did a remake of it, and Francis liked the song so much he commented on it.
Really?
Yeah,
That's like the
if you listen to it, I think it's as good, if not better, than the original.
wow. That's
It's
impressive.
it's extremely well done. It's produced by a guy down in the Windsor area, and I don't know if you know him or not. Let me just see, Al. They call him Al.
Okay.
Um, what the hell is his name? His last name? And of course, he's not on. Donnie's not on here tonight watching the show.
Oh.
Otherwise, he'd tell me. And I'm trying to think of L's last name, and of course, it's not coming to me while I'm on here. It's like, this is a bugger. I'll probably come up with it. He did all the production for these guys and some of their stuff was on masters that were 25 years old when they first started putting their music out.
Wow. That's
It's stuff
incredible.
it's stuff they recorded originally 25 years ago, and then it got them into a writing mode, and then they started, you know, taking all these songs that they had, you know, performed together but never recorded, and then they started recording a whole string of them.
Right.
And there's a couple of albums worth of tunes there that, you
Mhm.
know, came out of all those years these guys played together. Um, um, Dave Whitehead, I don't know if you know that name or not.
Name
Dave
sounds
was
familiar.
Dave was from Windsor area. He played with everybody in Windsor and Detroit. He used to be a staple at Call the Office in London, Ontario, which was you know, a
That was
frequented punk
yeah,
rock bar back in
right.
the day.
I remember that club.
Yeah, and so he worked with a bunch of guys down in the Windsor area, and Al did a ton of production for these guys, and the guy knows what he's doing.
Mhm.
Like he definitely knows what he's doing. He's got a studio in his basement. Don goes there and does tracks, but Don has had some issues with his one leg, and that's not a great thing when you're a drummer.
No, you need
So
those legs.
yeah, so he's been working on that. He's been working on that, trying to figure out the leg thing because he wants to get back in the studio and do some more tracks. So
Well,
cool.
doing remakes of covers, I mean, it's always fun. Like when we do Born on a Bad Sign, we put our own spin into it, a way that no one else has ever done it because a lot of bands cover that song.
Yep.
So we wanted to find a way, how can we, and then Jimmy just said, "Heck, of course, he always gets this idea and it's great. At first you kind of go, what? Because he's like, oh, let's funk it up. And I'm like, funk it up. And then we tried it and it's working out. It sounds great. And we played it live for the first time last weekend and it got great response. People were dancing and having a good time to it. So,
Yeah,
I,
our band does that with covers too. We'll like I said, look, if I wanted to be in a cover band, I'd play strictly cover tunes. But if we're
yeah,
going to do the odd cover here and there, and we play a few motorcycle events over the course of the summer, of course they want to hear a lot of the standards,
sure.
right? You know, like Born to Be Wild and stuff like that, Steppenwolf, that kind of stuff. But we also are able to play all of our original music as well.
Right. Right.
So we're you know we've just completed our first album.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, we're 7 tracks in now, releasing. I think are we on our eighth track? Geez, I'm trying to remember how far we're in now. But we've got we had 7 tracks out. We have 3 more we're releasing to this year, and then we're starting in on album number 2. We've already got album number 2 written.
Right on.
We just haven't got to the point of recording it yet because we were so busy because we do all of our recordings live off the floor.
Oh, okay.
So there's no dubs, no overdubs.
Right.
We're looking for the best live
That
performance.
raw sound. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and that's our sound. We decided that's what we were going to do from the get-go. Nobody really wanted to go through that whole tedious part of, playing to a click track and doing the individual track stuff. We like doing everything live in the studio, so that was where we decided to do it.
Right on. That's great. One of the rules well, we all kind of agree on it, but one of the things I like to do when we're doing covers is don't matter how we do it as long as we're respecting the song. So,
Yep.
like you can take it off and do your own little spin on it, but you got to respect the song for what it is
Yeah,
and what
you've
the
got to keep
artist
the
is.
integrity of the
Sure.
song there so people can recognize what it is you're playing.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, Dino, Deanbo, our band is called Green Ink. You can find us wherever music is sold. Green Ink that's the name for a reason. It was back in the day we were going to call the band In a Cannabis Groove for a reason. We're a stoner band. And so therefore, if you listen to our music, it's not very stone. Some of it's stoner like, but a lot of it is written about the world as we find it today.
Right.
We just put out a single called Madness, and it's sitting at around 10,000 streams so far. It came
Wow.
out.
Good
It
for you,
came out
man.
April. It came out April 25th. We've got our own silent Green Ink Army out
Oh, right
there,
on.
and we get our music played in a lot of pot stores. Surprise, surprise.
Well, there you go. That's great, man. That's hey, as you get an airplay, you're getting play, so that
Uh,
works.
that's exactly it. Well, you know what? We're at the top of our hour here, and I really appreciate you coming on this show, Michael, and talking to us about what you guys are doing in Rose City Rockers, Windsor, Ontario Power Trio. Look for them on Facebook, find them on Instagram, follow them,
Yep. YouTube.
and watch what they're doing.
Yep.
And you'll find them on our uh, website at anytunes.com or anytunesrecords.com. The Rose City Rockers, and check them out. We got some new tunes coming out. She Feels Good in My Hand is the first single. Is the first second release single that they've got out right now,
Yep.
and it's on all streaming services. I'm just trying to think of the release date on that. Um, I'm going to quickly look at it here so we can let people know when it was actually out. And I'm waiting for the computer to go over here.
Yep.
Here we go. It was released on May the 23rd, so it just came out last
Yep.
Friday.
Yeah.
So you can stream it wherever music is sold or downloaded. Go to Spotify because we found that most of our artists, their listening audiences on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so go there, follow the band on Spotify, and you'll get notifications every time they put out a brand new release.
Absolutely. And you know what? Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, this is not just a privilege; it was an honor, and I enjoy talking to you, Ken. And not finally meet you. Like
Cool,
we.
cool getting to know you, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been great, and I'm looking forward to the relationship we're going to continue building together. And and it's nice to have that relationship, and it's important because that's what's going to help propel us where we got to go, and it's going to propel you as well. Like we work together, and that's the whole point.
We got to
Um,
have you guys back on before we get to the next single because "She Feels Good in My Hands" is a great tune as well. It deserves a bit of a pump, and we've got a video for that. So next time I have you on the show, we're going to play that video.
Sounds great.
Hopefully, some of the other guys can join us. I'm not sure if Joel will be able to join us or not.
I can know some. I'm sure they can join us. Gets a little busy sometimes at nighttime, but
Right. He
you
has
know,
evening he has the evening stuff that's going on, so he can't always get out to do something like this. I want to thank everybody for watching us tonight, coming out watching the show.
thank
I
you.
want to thank people who watch the show on a regular basis. Some of our videos don't get a ton of watches. Please feel free to share it out widely with your friends. You can go to Indie Tunes, my profile on Facebook, or Indie Tunes Records on Facebook, Indie Tunes Records on YouTube. And you can also go to Indie Tunes Records on Twitter X, and you can share it out there. Michael, thanks for joining me. This has been Michael from the Rose City Rockers.